Hello and welcome to tonight's workshop, Failing Fast and Pitching with Idea. This workshop is brought to you by Pathfinder. Pathfinder is an extracurricular program for incoming first and second years at Northeastern, and we provide a safe and inclusive environment for students to discuss and pursue their passions. If you haven't already joined Pathfinder and you are a first or second year, we will put the link to our application in the chat. We also have moderator applications for upperclassmen and recent graduates if you want to moderate some of our roundtables. And lastly, we will put the link to our website in the chat also, so you can keep updated about our program. Next week, we will have a workshop with Generate on prototyping. And now I will pass it over to Noreen.
Thanks. So here's just a quick photo of the Generate event. And as well, you can also scan this QR code to add all of the future Pathfinder events to your own calendar, so you never miss an event. So just kicking things off, I want to introduce myself real quick. I am Noreen. I'm a second year here at Northeastern, and currently I'm majoring in international business with a minor in law and public policy. But with IDEA, I'm currently an events associate. My director, Kaitlyn, is also on this call if she wants to give a quick hello. But we both work. Go ahead, Kaitlyn.
Hi guys, I'm Kaitlyn. I'm the current event director for IDEA. I'm a major in data science and entrepreneurship. I have been involved in Mosaic organizations since second year. I was in AU Impact for a year, and now I'm here at IDEA right now. So feel free to come talk to me after this on LinkedIn if you have any questions about the AU Impact or IDEA.
Thank you so much. So now I just want to give a quick overview of what IDEA is and how we fit into the big Mosaic umbrella. So IDEA is a venture accelerator. And what we do is we help ventures in the Northeastern community and even outside to support them by building a global network of successful entrepreneurs and helping our ventures and students and faculty develop strong, innovative mindsets and entrepreneurial skills. So we have a 3-step process. We go through Ready, Set, Go. And what we do is we provide ventures and leaders and entrepreneurs with guidance, resources, mentorship, experience, and really providing them with foundation to make sure that they succeed in the future. We help accelerate these ventures, of course, as Venture Accelerator. But we also want to encourage students like freshmen and sophomores to begin developing entrepreneurial mindsets. And that's really what I hope to do during this workshop. So just kicking things off, I want to talk about what it means to fail fast and to fail mindfully. Failing fast doesn't just mean giving up. It's really a framework and a way of approaching an idea and how to get things done. So just going forward, I want to introduce personally a favorite quote of mine. Failure is an important part of your growth and developing resilience. For those freshmen who are unfamiliar, resilience has really been a big part of IDEA and the kind of momentum and ideology that we want to build. We want our entrepreneurs to be resilient, but to also talk about resiliency. And of course, in 2021 and 2020, we faced absolutely enormous changes in our lives, and we had to learn to adapt and become resilient to those circumstances. So we want to really carry over that mindset and that ideology to how we act and decide on things in our daily lives. So now, what does it mean to fail fast? And that idea of how it ties in with resiliency. I created this fun little idiom or acronym, of what it means to fail fast. So failing fast, as I said before, it means making a roadmap and not going straight to the destination. Typically, when we create goals, we go straight to the destination and our final product, what we want to do. So as an international business major, I, for example, say, I want to become a CEO of a global corporation. Now that's a big goal, and there's a lot of things that I can do to make that goal come true and to make that dream happen. But instead, I want to focus on how I get to that goal. So instead of thinking of solutions to an idea or to a goal, I want to think of ways to create solutions. So for example, instead of saying, I want to become a CEO of a global corporation, I would say, how can I make global connections? How can I create a global portfolio? How can I connect with people who are in the industry I want to work in? Those are all ways to get myself to becoming CEO of a global corporation? And still, those are questions that I can ask myself and questions that I can use to develop my own skills and my own mindset to help me become that CEO. So all of that comes with creating innovative and definitive solutions and goals to make sure that I can achieve that final goal of becoming my CEO. Another reason why I like to think of failing fast is important is because it completely dissolves the idea of perfectionism. As Northeastern students, we're always focused on either maintaining a really great GPA to get into our perfect co-op, or getting into the most amazing classes, or making connections with really great candidates and really great professionals, or getting a perfect score on a project. But with failing fast, it's a different way of approaching projects and approaching ideas that means it's just okay to get things done. Not everything has to be perfect, and not everything is going to be perfect. So really what I want to do in the workshop that's going to come forward is help you understand how you cannot be a perfectionist. For myself, I'm a huge perfectionist. And so trying to think of different ways and just being okay with being okay was really difficult for me. But quite honestly, it really helped me to discover new ways of reaching my goal and discovering new ways of becoming more accepting and more patient with myself. So what that really is about is learning to adjust your personal rules and knowing when to stop. So just going down the list, now E, with experimenting with your solutions. So for example, I did this workshop with another friend of mine, and she said that her goal was about becoming really, really rich. So now there's of course millions of ways to do that. So some of her solutions were like, marry a rich guy, kill him, and get all of his money. The second was, of course, becoming a CEO and making bank. And all of these solutions, while they're definitely plausible, are not necessarily the first ideas that you want to come up with. But not all ideas are bad ideas. Failing fast, again, is just a framework and a practice of making your goals come true. And lastly, failing fast, while it of course dissolves perfectionism, we really want to talk about efficiency as well. And once you discover that your idea of maybe marrying a rich man to become really rich yourself isn't the best way, then you find a new way. Instead of trying one path that doesn't lead you to success, you try many at once and see where they all take you. And lastly, I want to stress inspect what you expect. I know it's a very vague term, but what that means is of your options and of all the ideas that you have created, um, go with what your gut tells you. Failing fast is, like I said, not about perfectionism, but going with what your heart tells you and where you feel you can succeed. And if you don't succeed, pick up and try again. So now, here are just some ideas and ways to fail fast and create solutions, of course. But right now, I'm sure you've been hearing me talk about this for a bit and getting quite confused. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And since there's so few of us, I want each of you to say one goal that we all have, and we can all work together to create some fun solutions. So I'll go first. My ultimate goal is to start, let's see, let me think. I want to become a successful businesswoman in France, for example. So now I have to think of creative ways about how to get there. So Catherine, if you want to go ahead, do you have a goal that you want to share?
Sure. I want to be able to do a super hard yoga pose that I can't do yet. Probably crow pose because I don't have balance yet for that.
Kaitlyn, I'm going to call you out next.
All right. I want to find like a good state of mind to balance out on my work, co-op search, and all my classes. So I really want to get this Zen mindset to like before that. I guess that's my 2021 like goal. I want to achieve that state of mind.
I'd love to have my own venture sometime. Anytime, yeah.
I'd love to live in another country for a bit.
Ooh, okay. So let's start with your goal. So what are some ways? So I talked before about creating specific solutions, and your goal is to create your own venture. So now here are just some creative, like spitballing ideas that I want to talk about. This is just coming right off the top of my head. You could either A, join another venture, kick out all of the founders, and then claim that for your own, which is not what you're going to do, I hope. You could also steal a patent, create a business that way. Also not what you're going to do, I hope. You could take an innovation class and come up with an idea with your teammates, a more plausible idea. Or let's see, what's another creative way you can make that solution happen besides coming up with an idea? Fun. Okay, you could also, let's see, you could take an innovation class and learn how to create an idea or how to create a product. You can read books about how other founders created their ideas. Would anyone else like to contribute? What do you have in mind?
I'm actually like following this path because I don't want to like go completely dive into creating my own venture, just because it's not probably the best moment for me in my life just to go all the time, all the way in. So I'm kind of trying to follow the path of staying with entrepreneurs and like kind of the VC world to get relationships and get network and knowledge to sometime be more sure and go.
Yeah,
kind of
that's
like
great.
strategizing the thing, I guess.
Yeah, you're kind of test marketing all of your pathways early, which is exactly the kind of thing that we want to develop. Instead of, finding one thing that you really like and going headfirst and diving in and throwing all of your resources, we really want to help develop that kind of being flexible, essentially. So it's great that you're already doing that. But for other ideas, do you have any outlandish ways that you want to go about starting your venture? Or if anyone else wants to contribute, I'm very happy to hear how they think Mattia can start his venture.
You could join IDEA, become a venture analyst, and see if any founder would like your help.
Didn't think about that.
That's great. So now let's go explore one more idea because, this is our workshop. Let's start with mine. So I want to become a businesswoman in France. So I'm thinking first, like my previous idea, I can marry a French businessman, make sure he drowns in the Seine, and then take over his business. Easy solution. But I could also learn French. I could also work for a French company here and then go to France. There's so many options I can do, especially at Northeastern. So it's really about finding the one that really fits me and speaks to my personality and going with that. Does anyone else have a goal that they want to share or develop? No, that's cool. Okay, so now that we've gotten some idea of how to set those goals and to roadmap our destination, I want to start sharing my screen again, and then we can continue on. But I hope, Mattia, that gave you a good introduction on not being a perfectionist, because what I've learned, especially from this position, is that pigeonholing yourself is not necessarily the way to go. You always want to drive that curiosity and drive that creativity to make sure that you're constantly changing the direction that you can go, and also so that you can have options. So that was a great interlude. So let me continue on. Yeah, we just finished our workshop, that little workshop. So now I just want to go over some of the main takeaways that if you want to do this for anyone viewing this over Zoom or over Canvas, what I want you to do is to ask, how many ways can I achieve my goal? How many ways can I become a businesswoman in France? How many ways can I start my own venture? So organize your ideas, have a conversation, learn which pathways you click with most, go follow them. If not, you have so many backups to go behind you. So now I want to introduce Niklas, who's going to talk a little bit more about himself, what he does in IDEA, and the second portion of this workshop, which is about pitching and what it means to pitch yourself.
Great. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Niklas. I'm the investments coordinator at IDEA. I'm originally from Germany and I'm an international student. And I'm currently studying international business as my undergrad with a concentration in finance. And I'm currently also doing a +1 program in finance, which is an accelerated master's program, which I'm doing during my senior year. And I also have a minor in history, which I find interesting to kind of get my mind of all the business jargon. You can go to the next slide.
Yep.
Yeah, so what is a pitch? So a pitch, I think, is a very broad term that can be applied in a lot of different senses. To give you a little bit more background of what I do at IDEA is I'm in charge of the Gap Fund, which is the investment vehicle from IDEA, which enables some of our early stage founders to get an educational grant to further develop their business. And as part of that program, they are also pitching to the advisory board. So that's one type of pitch that I am most closely involved with. However, you can also pitch yourself to a boss, you can pitch yourself to an interviewer, to your friends, to your teacher. I think it's just another kind of way to present yourself in front of other people and trying to portray your idea clearly. How do you go about that? And so next slide, we'll cover that in a little bit, but big picture, how do you do it is you be very concise, you be very to the point, and you give the person that you're pitching to a very clear ask, which I think is the most important component of that. But if you want to jump to the next slide, we can talk about some of the more specific things. So, this depends on who you're pitching to, but let's stick with the mindset of IDEA and kind of pitching to a board of people that you're trying to get money from. So for the most part, these people do not know who you are. So it's always great to start with a quick introduction of yourself, a little bit of background on you, and then really start diving into the problem and the solution and the ask that you're trying to pitch for. So the thing about pitching is, for the most part, you're pitching to someone who doesn't have a lot of time on their hands, and they're giving you an opportunity to do so. So it's not really a right that you have, but more of an opportunity for you to kind of share other people about what you've been working on. So important part about all these different components is that you be very concise. There's no particular order, or you can design your order however you would like. So this slide kind of presents a possible solution to this. One thing that I've seen commonly for ventures being pitched to investors, for example, is you kind of start a little bit from the back end to kind of get people engaged right away. You want to present them very at a high level what your product is, what is your solution, and why do they need to hear about what you have to say. After that, you can kind of pull it back a little bit and really focus on the problem that you're trying to solve. Why is it important that you have this solution? Who and what sort of customers are you catering to? So very important to kind of keep that problem in mind, and also how your solution is better than anything on the market. That's kind of where we go into advantages. Or I guess if you want to start with before that, the competition aspect could be useful to insert here as well. You want to see what else is on the market already, what they're currently offering, but why they're not tackling the issue as well as you could. So that's where you talk about your competitive advantage, as we like to call it. What specific thing can you do better than any current solution on the market? And it's also very important to give the person you're pitching to a clear understanding of what your product actually is and how it works. So you don't want to bore them with details, and it's always good when pitching to have, if you're doing it through a slide deck, to have a couple backup slides to kind of go into this further. So you don't want to bore the people with the, if you're a very technical venture, for example, you don't want to bore them with all the technicalities behind your idea, but you want to make sure that they have a high level understanding of what you're talking about and why that's important to them. What do they need to know in order to fully understand your solution? Traction is also very important. This is once you've set up the problem, you've set up the solution, you've set up why you're better than anyone. So what's your proof for that? What can you say and what can you point to validate that? And so this is where it becomes very handy. Oftentimes, a lot of the ventures that I see through IDEA do not have any very meaningful revenue yet. They don't have very meaningful customers, which would be a very clear way to portray your traction. Another way to do so is kind of showing about what sort of customer research you've done, what surveys have people responded to, how has general feedback been, are there any pilot programs that you've ran? Anything like that to kind of quantify that people want your solution is very helpful here. Another thing to kind of keep in mind is that even if you're solving a very important problem, you want to make sure there's actually a market for it. If the problem is very small and only caters to a handful of people, it might not be worth it for this investor or this person to give you money or support for this idea. So keeping the market in mind and how big of a solution they're helping you solve is also very important to keep in mind. The business model is also very important to include here for a couple of reasons. The biggest one is, especially if it's a financial investor, they want to see some sort of return on their investment. And if they can't see a clear way for you to monetize your solution, then there's really no point, regardless of how good your solution is. So giving an understanding of how you acquire customers, how you monetize those customers, and how you keep those customers engaged is really what's important here. And then lastly, the way you want to finish is by presenting your ask. You've set up your problem, you've set up the solution that you're presenting, you've defined your product and how it works, and you've identified how effective your solution is in solving this market problem. And that's when you ask for the ask, if you will. And oftentimes this will be a monetary request, as it is in Gap Fund. And so here you want to clearly outline, what sort of money am I requesting from you? What will this go towards? And where will the investor and where will this company be once they receive funding? So kind of really clearly identifying where you'll be after the pitch is very important. In IDEA, we always focus on this clear process from getting from a step A to a step B. And at that point B, you really want to have a clear understanding of what this money will do for your business and essentially the investor's return on that as well. So that's kind of pitching in a nutshell. I know this is very dependent on your business. And like I said before, this does not always have to be a venture pitching in front of an investor. Pitching is such a big variety that essentially is just a way to present yourself. And these are just some key points to kind of keep in mind whenever you're trying to sell yourself to another person. And yeah,
Great.
I think that's it.
Thank you so much. So I hope anyone who is listening learned a bit about what it means to pitch, and of course what that means in IDEA, whether you're a venture or you're pitching yourself for your own job in your interview, whether you're pitching yourself in any other circumstance. So we really want to, with this workshop, combine how to pitch yourself, but then also, if that doesn't go well, what are other ways where you can get what you want? So that brings us, unfortunately, to the end of this workshop. But here we have just created some resources. If you're interested in signing up for our IDEA newsletter, please click on or scan this QR code here on the right. If you're interested in other business newsletters or another great resource, you can also sign up using this QR code on the left. Now, I just want to open it up to the floor for Catherine and Thandiwe. If you have any questions for any of us on the call, I'm happy to hear.
Thank you very much. That was such a great presentation. Very professional, and I'm just so happy to be working with all of you at IDEA. We are running out of time, unfortunately, but I would love to know just a little bit about each of your experiences as freshmen at Northeastern. Just, a quick little statement about what it was like, and then maybe if you have a bit of advice as well, just to finish up our Pathfinder workshop tonight.
Yeah, of course. I'll go first. So my freshman year, like many of ours this past year, was a bit odd. So my fall semester, I was actually in NUN, so I wasn't even in Boston. But coming back to Boston, I came back January 2020, and we all know what happened March of 2020. So even during those 2 months I was here, it was a very different experience than what I had expected. I didn't know what clubs to join. I didn't know how to join them, who to reach out to. So I think that's where, as cliche as it is to say this, where pitching comes in quite handy. And, telling other people like, hey, I'm a cool person. I want to be friends with you, and how to pitch yourself in that way. But then also, as a freshman, you really want to explore all of the opportunities that you have. I certainly did. I joined maybe 50 clubs. I was on 50 newsletters, but I only maybe attended 2. So I think just picking and choosing what you really enjoy doing. I wish I had done that sooner instead of jam packing myself in like 30 clubs that I wasn't interested in, and instead exploring the ones that I really enjoyed and sticking to those.
I can go as well. So for me, freshman year was a couple of years ago now. But so I came to campus in January of 2017. And I think the biggest advice that I would give to anyone is try to find a community, try to find a group that are all in this together. So when I came to Northeastern, I knew one person from high school, and that was about it. And so that was a great start, but not how I wanted to define my college experience. And so the way that I did that is I went to the club fair, and kind of the first organization that I joined was a fraternity. And that's kind of how I got my first foot in the door with another community on campus, finding like-minded people and doing it that way. That's one way to do it, but there's so many other ones. And so I think going to the club fair, meeting people, and trying to find people that have and share the same identity with you is very important. And then, the good thing is about college is that you can go through many different experiences, you meet different communities. And so I came to IDEA in the beginning of my 4th year. And so while this hasn't defined my entire college experience, it's kind of defined more of the later component of my college experience. So, I think the biggest source of advice is just to go through different communities and find people that have aligned interests and aligned passions with you. So that's what I would say to that.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that's such great advice. And we encourage all the Pathfinder folks out there to check out IDEA because they do have a really wide range of possibilities that you could become involved with, whether you're interested in design, interested in business, it's a great place to start and branch out wherever you find your little niche. We have a few minutes if there's any other questions. Thandiwe, I don't know if you wanted to add anything else.
I guess if one of you or somebody could talk about like how you found whatever the first Mosaic organization that you joined was, or if it was IDEA, just because these are like students that are looking for those organizations.
Yeah, I can take that. So quite honestly, I found IDEA through another one of my events associates. But so this really comes with taking your own initiative. Of course, there's club fairs and things like that, but that only happens once a year, once a semester. So actually, during our fall semester, right before we actually came to Boston, we both knew that we wanted to join clubs. So my biggest suggestion is if you know that you want to get involved in the community, and if you know that you're really enthusiastic to become a part of something new, quite honestly, just like go on Instagram and see what clubs there are. Like go check out Northeastern, see who they follow. That's what we did, because sometimes the Northeastern club website isn't updated, and there are new clubs popping up like every month, every week. So we just scoured all over social media. We scoured the website. We found the clubs that we were that we even had no remote interest in, and we just reached out and talked to them. So it's really about taking your own initiative and bouncing off your friends. Oh, did you hear about this club? Have you heard about anything here? And just learning and bouncing off.
All right, thank you. Yeah, if there's any other questions, feel free to jump in really quick. But we can wrap up in the next few minutes. I know our call is going to end. But we really loved working with IDEA today. So thank you so much for participating in this workshop. And thank you to our viewers and to our future viewers who are watching this on demand. And that is all we have, I think.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you
thanks,
both,
everyone.
Thandiwe and Catherine, for setting this up.
Pathfinder meets every week for roundtable discussions. We also meet weekly for workshops just like this one. So check out our Google Calendar and join in next time. Thank you so much and have a great day.